Yes, good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. All right. Just making sure we're still lively. As Ms. Speaks would have said, I was able to present to the Joint Select Committee this Monday. And I'm going to transfer y'all back there and deliver the same piece I delivered to them in similar manner. I've been following the proceedings from last Monday and then this Monday. I want to say well done to Janine Butcher, Timon Stewart, Neil Harper, Daniel Weeks, and Dr. Ferdinand Nichols. And I like particularly where Dr. Ferdinand Nichols said that freedom is not the right to do what you want, but it's the power to do what you ought. That was a quote that he made. A critical function of freedom of expression, as expressed from a rights-based perspective, is as a moral right, as expressed in the Universal Human Rights. And as a non-moral right, it is a necessity, whether it's to uphold democracy or combat government corruption or incompetence, things of that nature. And the tyrannical state that imprisons descendants acts unjustly, violating moral rights, even if there is no legal right to freedom of expression in its legal system. But we are in a country where we do have that legal right. At this point, I also commend the committee and the government in a technologically developing society. It is important that we develop legislation to suit. But main issue, as you can tell, perhaps at this point in time, lies in the nuances related to freedom of expression, particularly in Section 20. We have an unfortunate history of silencing our revolutionaries or forcing them off the island, and they fear this may further aggravate that problem. When I think of men like George Mamie, like Clement Wickham, like Clement Payne, who was a trained unionizer and a highly effective one, who arrived in the island beset by economic problems and hardship in the wake of the Depression, when sugar prices had fallen catastrophically and plantation owners had responded by slashing wages. Payne, influenced by the Black Power ideology of Marcus Garvey and the growing radicalism of Trinidad, delivered a shocking message that the black and poor majority in Barbados should organize themselves into a union and confront the planters and their allies. Not that Payne advocated violence. His motto was, educate, agitate, but do not violate. But his speeches drew big crowds to hear fiery denunciations of injustice and deprivation, much like y'all today. The colonial authorities were predictably hostile to this firebrand orator, and the constabulary warned him that he was under observation each moment of the day and the night. And when widespread labor unrest broke out in Trinidad on June 19, 1937, Payne was eager to tell his audience what the authorities would rather have swept under the carpet. The whole of the Caribbean, he said, was on the move and justice was there for the taking. Despite police attempts to block it, a public meeting voted to form the Barbados Progressive Working Men's Association. And we know at that point the colonial government would have acted, and Payne was charged and found guilty, and he was shipped back over to Trinidad. You could read about that in the Caribbean Meat magazine, just look it up. But aside from that, when I think about men like Gabby, an artist like myself, I don't know about you, but if you look at freedom of expression, if I was a man like Jack Deere, I would be shedding tears if a man as mighty as Gabby cast stones at me, at risk of libel, but he had tear. Not tear like the gas that would cause panic, but tear. On a higher level in consciousness, recognizing his duty to keep the calypso scene substantial. And as it stands, I don't see how we can restrict stand and see, because if we do, really, who is represented by that goal and that green, if not we? It must be the foreign developers taking over the beautiful coastline over this country, extending their reach over the beach, enveloping us in happy modern conquest, but a man like Gabby can't peacefully protest that, and he sound Jack. So Jack can get his jacket straight. But I fear if Gabby was to get his gadgets and posting up to free the beach, calling names so free, if it is that he get heat for that day, because I'm giving you problems for that day, so-called the name of Jack Deere and such, and all kind of things with labor and stuff. If it is he get heat for that, then I wonder what would have happened to he if this thing was passing 82 or even 83. That means we would have had music, beer music missing from his discography during that potential 7 years. And during the financial desert that he would have been in after that 70,000 hit came back. As it really is now, I mean, as it stands now, we can see that smoking being hit hard and far away from being hard hitting social commentary. That's why it's just jam and wine and jokes in this country. Like the laws don't got things choked up tight compared to a scene like Calypso and TT where artists like Croco can sing and express dissent and folk play a bit more freely without being caged. Like a pause on that. Back to Dr. Nichols. He brings some info off the press from 2018 when election time was setting and words was flying high. Empty promises full of hot air like balloons rising like the bread in an oven in a bakery. This one he said come from the then leader of opposition. Now PM Mia Moore Marley. God I love she. She said, today is about setting a message that the people of Barbados will not allow anybody, neither Labour Party, Barbados Labour Party, Democratic Labour Party, private sector to intimidate it. Not ever again. You have been raised to think for yourselves and you have the right to speak out. And you have the right to speak out without somebody trying to unfair you in this country. So today is equally about reclaiming for Barbadians the right to express themselves in an environment where fear is removed. And if ever the time comes that you give us the confidence to lead you, we too must ensure that we never rule a government to unfair or cause fear in this country. This is the solemn promise of the Barbadians. I don't know about you, but if there's intent to keep that promise, the broadest of Section 20 seems unwise, and my challenges lie mainly in the philosophical approach to understanding the fundamentals of the importance and also the infringement of freedom of expression, which, as I said already, is a universal human right, which right now seems to be being made to bow beneath the guillotine, to have a critical piece of its being be removed. I dressed myself in black and white because I said I was prepared, if not extremely perturbed and reluctant to mourn our great loss, and much less prepared to pay the great cost. And I wasn't trying to move them to tears. Mr. Stewart here, he did a good job in asserting that it's not an emotionally guided issue, as my friend would have said earlier as well. It's very hard for emotions to be formed criminally damaging. But I would be damned by my own conscience if I say nothing if a man can say something true or false on socials, and because the person impacted by the use of the computer system is intended to be annoyed, inconvenienced, obstructed, embarrassed, humiliated, insulted, or feel anxiety, you could be damned. And the chairperson at that time, he said many times that he was an attorney at law and that there were other lawyers in the room. So I was interested, was there issue with filing such cases under the coverage of the Defamation Act and leaving it at that? Establishing policy with clear advances instead of allowing a web of ambiguity to be a trap for the judiciary that he so constantly kicked the can to. Really. But understand that the goal is to bring improvement. And if the way it's currently drafted is highly able to be abused in the palms of powerful players, where you may criticize an individual in some position of authority responsible to the citizens of this country for, in truth, neglecting their duty, they remain not subject to change, but you subject to charge, may be unable to afford to pay the bond to be bound before you are found guilty and fined up to 70,000, or redefined from concerned citizen to criminal in your sentence of a term to 7 years hard time. If you're all I am money. And I would like to say it's important to remember that we are all beings with egos and insecurities. To forget this is to forget humanity. To reject this is to embrace a pointless naivete which can only lead to a pitiful existence in a strange form of arrogant, ignorant madness. And I urge you committed to not have this negligence nor unbelief consume you. And yes, it states that in section 19, subsection 5, that subsection 3 of that same section is covered by the defenses of the Defamation Act. However, that's not the case with section 20. And that's largely where I expressed it. In the meeting, actually, I was interested to find that the chairperson told me that actually with the passing of this bill, that Article 34 of the Defamation Act would actually be repealed. And I don't know about you, but to me that seems like jumping out the pan into the fire, because you moving from a max of 2,012 months to 70,000 in 7 years, that don't quite seem fair. So if he said that to ease my concerns, in fact I think he hiding them, if anything. But who cares? Only every single concerned citizen expressing their worst fears. I just want to say a few more words before I go outside for the piece. It's very important for us to keep our thinking caps on. And we see things like this, it's very important for us to keep our ears to the ground. Aware of what's going on. And I'm thankful for persons like Marcy of the staff organizing events like this. Reach out to people. Yeah. Let me know if y'all put that more noise than that, I know. Right? And even in being so comfortable and understanding to reach out to young persons like myself and other people who you can hear afterwards, I will let him be introduced properly. Reaching out to us so that our voices can be heard, so people can understand like we ain't sleeping on this thing. You're not sleeping on it. Right? And you can't just do whatever they want and feel that they can slide the enemy knows not no more. We eyes open to women anymore. Really and truly. Yeah? And why this issue in particular is so jarring to me in terms of accountability with challenging freedom of expression is because we live in a relatively open society where we can, openly discuss things in the democratic state, etc. But you can see other places around the world where that's not the case. And even recently internationally up to 2019, 2020, etc., we've got cases in places like Egypt and other places in the world, Vietnam, Iran, places where you cannot so easily express yourself without fear of imprisonment or even worse, some cases execution. Yeah? And it's very important not to give way to a slippery slope. And as much as the government may say, well, the intention of the bill is to attack these things and that they would not, abuse the bill in such a way, when you pass a law, how many laws we got? That was there from however when and we look back at them yet? So when this get passed and another government comes in and another government comes in and another government comes in, who's to say that they down the line will not make use of those exploitations and abuses which you said you're not going to? So you're laying the groundwork for them, even though you're saying it's not, the intention. But you're still allowing it to be a possibility down the line in the future. And so if we're looking down the line and we're looking to, be far sighted and not just near sighted, be short term, long term solutions, we gotta be more careful with what we write into our legislation. I reckon to do. Yeah? So that is